when you talk about Italian teams hard to beat, desire, character, they fight for everything. There was no fight in this Italy team. They were absolutely flat, taking nothing away from Switzerland because Switzerland played well. Granit Xhaka was controlling that midfield and dictating everything, and it was a shock. Because there's one way to go out, but to go out the way that Italy did,
it was unacceptable.
I completely agree with everything you're saying. For so long, historically, the Italian team was very representative of its people, and the people felt represented in the team. Just go back to 2016, because that's the last fresh Italian team in my mind that had an absolute triumph, save Euro 2020, right? Because Euro 2020 is a lot of the same guys. You had the grit and the fight of Gennaro Gattuso. The center backs, forget about it, lockdown, right? But midfield forward also, Gennaro Gattuso, you got that fight. But then you also had quality in Francesco Totti, a killer number 9 in Luca Toni. And we're so far removed from that now. The way that this team went out, it felt soulless at times. And
soulless is exactly right. Especially from the 75th minute on, it felt like this Italian team completely gave up. They were reserved to the fact that they were going to lose. And I think back to exactly the teams you're talking about, the previous generations, where it felt like if all else fails, at least we have our belief in ourselves. This team did not believe in themselves. This team let this game slip completely out of their hands.
One good half of football in the entire tournament.
Yeah, they looked like they didn't want to be on the pitch. When you look at that performance, we watched the game here in the studio, and obviously we've got a big Italian fan base here in the studio, and the best part for me that I was dying laughing.
You say it like you're going to hire an exterminator again. He's like, we got ants. We got ants in the building.
Anyway, we've got a lot of Italian. My Italian family, extended Italian family here. It was the start of the second half. So we were discussing about how when you play so bad in the first half, you need to get out in the second half. You want to start well, you want to start fresh. They lined up from the kickoff like they were going to go long and direct to make Switzerland defend and really get at it in the second half. And nothing's worse when you turn and you get the ball and you try to go long and you shank it straight to the Swiss midfield. They run up the other end, and then Vargas puts in the top corner. That was the final
blow, wasn't it? Because then everybody said, OK, this game's over, had it not been already. You know, the really interesting thing as well about, you know, the team selection, yes, there was no DiMarco, there was no Calafiori who would have been, you know, in that starting lineup, but it was just so poor. Jorginho, obviously, in the background there, he didn't start in this game. And we were kind of arguing a lot during the season about, should it be Retegui, should it be Scamacca? And then you see the lineup with El Shaarawy in. There was some bizarre, you know, decisions from Spalletti. The Italian Federation have come out and said, no, Spalletti's staying. He also had some interesting things to say after the game. He said, you know, the manager, he always has to take the blame. So he didn't necessarily welcome the blame on his shoulders. Is it the right decision for Italy to keep Spalletti moving forward?
Only time's going to tell. The good thing is that there's a 48-team World Cup coming up. So Italy's bound to make it. And if
surely they can't miss for
oh my God, that's rock bottom. If we think we've hit rock bottom before, no, not making it.
3 World Cups in a row?
No.
3 World Cups in a row, you're out of it?
Not with 48 teams.
No, we're at rock bottom now. And I think it would just get even further. What's below rock bottom?
I'll just say for me, Mancini leaving, I think he saw what was coming. You know, when Mancini left and went to Saudi Arabia,
what was coming was the paycheck
he knew what was coming with his team. And even, like I said, when you look at that, the manager can take the blame, but the players have to shed a lot of the responsibility because tactics, the distances, they were just all over the place. In my lifetime, I have never seen as bad Italian performance as that game. But we've also got to give credit to Switzerland. Switzerland, I said, are a team that are very well organised. They've been together for such a long time. Granit Xhaka was sensational, carrying on the same form that he did domestically for Leverkusen in the season. And he ran the show, and then they've got 3 players that can hurt you up top. But
that left side,
organised side.
That left side for Switzerland is so dangerous. Vargas in particular, who I'm almost positive, we did not check this, but I'm almost positive he's the only Dominican to ever score in the knockout rounds of the Euros.
I thought it was Chilean also.
I know he's part Dominican.
Okay,
here we go. We're going to play part this, part that. Just like Poppy's 15% Scottish. Did you know that?
I'm not 15%. I'm a quarter Scottish. So
like one of your grandparents
25%.
You know Nigel don't do
Scottish.
Math, bro.
Nigel, don't know where you got 15% for. Give me my other 10%.
You got Abashir, you've got Xhaka, you've got Vargas. That whole left side is so dangerous for Switzerland.
But you've got Akanji in the back as well. And they've got some really good Switzerland.
Well, it's going to be interesting as well.
Dominican father. Yeah, nothing Chile.
You really had to look that up.
Bro.
He's playing for Switzerland. It's fine. Let's leave it at that.
It's important about our culture. Caribbean Latinos don't get a lot of shine in soccer.
Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, they're just two players that have been far from their best. And actually, when the substitutes came in, even though yet again we had to wait so long to see them, they were the ones that made the difference.
Yeah, he ain't gonna make no changes.
It's a very difficult question to respond.
It's not. It's an English thing. It's an English thing. And I was growing up when I was young, it was the same thing. Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes would always play, regardless of their forms domestically or if they didn't even play well in that game, they'd always stay. And it's something.
How deep was that team?
One of my friends, Darren, but it is deep. But managers, are they going to be brave enough to do that?
Is he going to be deeper though, Nigel?
This team is deeper. This team is way deeper. It's the biggest bunch of talented players we've ever had in a period for England. But I always said this. I said managers will make tough decisions. Again, we talk about Nagelsmann in Germany. Florian Wirtz didn't play well. Nagelsmann, off he pops, sit. He's one of the players that everyone's talking about the tournament, one of the best young players. You built this new Germany around him and Musiala. But when he doesn't play well, sit on the bench, you bring on Sane. England, Gareth Southgate does not have that ability to do that.
Germany has a manager that understands tactics and understands if you're not playing well, it's not because of me, it's because of you. Gareth Southgate, it's the other way around. It's because of Gareth Southgate. Phil Foden, Premier League Player of the Year. He looks lost out there.
This is the responsibility and the onus is on Southgate to figure this out, and that's no secret.
But will he? That's the question. Is he going to make these changes in the next game?
He sees his team. The first half was an abomination. The first half by England against Slovakia was terrible. It was wide spaces open, and also you got to place some blame on the players because the way that they were losing headers, Kyle Walker was losing the ball, Haraslim from Slovakia was getting in behind. It looked bad, but it's also in part due to the system and what they want, and I get it. And primarily the biggest finger pointing is at Gareth Southgate. That is without a shadow of a doubt.
This midfield didn't move. You've got players looking. You've got Declan Rice checking to make a pass. Well, it has to keep going back. The midfield's not even moving. They're all standing and
Jordan
watching.
Pickford looked like he was the one that wanted to go up the most.
Because we watched the game, and I was saying to Poppy, watch the body language. One thing about playing football, you can always tell by players' body language in the pitch. I said, Poppy, look how many times when a player gets the ball, they go, that means I don't know where to pass. Where am I passing? No one's moving. I said, the movement ain't good. And I said, when you watch Jordan Pickford, he was getting frustrated. He was coming out like he wasn't an English goalkeeper and he wanted to play out the back and trying to force the emphasis.
But how far back did Harry Kane have to go?
Collectively, it's so poor. England, what they don't have, when you're watching them, there's never that moment that you're getting up out of your seat and you see the build-up and the anticipation, and it's predictable. There's no breaking of lines. There's no dynamism. And every single player, the amount of quality that they have on the starting 11 and on the bench is envious. So many teams in the world would want to have that quality. And the fact that Gareth Southgate can't figure it out, not even a little, that he needs to get bailed out by a bicycle kick by Jude Bellingham, who didn't even have a good game.
Honestly, that's the frustration as well, because, you know, Gareth Southgate in the past has always brought players based on merit, Nigel, as we've said, and to see the squad that he selected this year, it made you hopeful that you would think, OK, now we're going to see some young faces. Kobbie Mainoo, it took a while for him to get in. Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon. It's like, make the changes. If we had sat there at half-time, Nigel, and he'd made 4 subs at 45 minutes,
we wouldn't complain.
We would have just said, you know, if we lose in the second half, then at least we've gone out with a swing. But to make no subs until so late in the game is just, it's unbearable.
Ivan Toney came in the 93rd minute.
Yeah, I would say the biggest disappointment is we talked about it when the squads were announced, and I was surprised. We went with the most attacking squad that I've ever seen in English history. And then, we've been playing with an absolute whimper, which makes no sense to me. Yeah. You went brave, thinking you were going to go knock out and just go out there and play and be aggressive. It just, for me, it's not a great performance, and I think they're going to have their hands full against Switzerland. Switzerland's going to be a very tough opposition. Yeah, it sure is. Let's see what happens in that game. It could be another painful one for the Three Lions.